my name is Craig. I play in the Unwinding Hours. I'm very, very tired, and you're watching Burning Music.
Hi, this is Nadi from Burning Music. I'm sitting next to.
Craig from the Unwinding Hours.
So, you guys make music together since 1989. And how did this all start, and how did you come together?
Well, Ian and I used to be in a band called Aerogram, and that has its own history. But the Unwinding Hours didn't start life with any clear goals, because we were sick of music. We were sick of touring. We were sick of never selling enough records. So the Unwinding Hours just started off as demos and slowly morphed into Ian and I working together. And then when we had an album, we realised that we still wanted to continue to do it in a certain capacity. So it developed, and we're here, and we've survived. I don't know how, but we did.
Your debut album came out in February 2010. What's your favorite song on the album?
It's going to be a cliche, but you know, if you asked me what my favourite film was, I couldn't tell you what my favourite film was. I'd have to split it up into genres. If you asked me what my favourite band was, I couldn't tell you one band. I'd have to split up into certain, different types of music, because I love really heavy metal and I love acoustic singer-songwriters. So it's not they're completely different. And for me, songs are exactly the same. I have deeply personal songs. Solstice is the most personal song on the album, probably. But there's a song called "There Are Worse Things Than Being Alone," and for me, that defines something very specific. So does "Peaceful Liquid Shell." So does "Knut." I can't choose one. I'm sorry, I can't.
How do you come up with ideas for new songs? And when do you write them? Do you write while you're on tour, or do you sit down and write songs?
Good question, because before I would only ever wait for them to come, which was sometimes a frustrating process, because you have to wait and wait and wait for something to bubble up. And so the first album was written over a long period of time, when feelings just needed to be expressed. Whereas the new album that we're going to record, I've been much more diligent in recording and actually writing, because I want to write something that's a bit faster and a bit more, not upbeat, because we can't do upbeat, we're miserable, but faster and maybe just a bit stronger and less intimate, because we've done that. So I want to do something else.
How do you prepare for a show? Do you have any rituals before you go on stage, or?
I have to warm up my voice, and the warm-up ritual that I've got is ridiculous, and I can't do it in front of anyone because it's so embarrassing. So usually I walk around the venue and I do the warm-ups, but if anybody comes near me, I have to stop it. So I probably look like a crazy person talking to themselves, but I'm not even talking, I'm making really stupid noises.
How long do you warm up?
Not very long. I should be far more professional about it, but I'm not, because I warm up and then I usually have a whiskey before I go on, which probably defeats the purpose.
When do you warm up your voice? 1 hour or half hour before the show starts?
5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
No, I do it bit by bit, but I'll often have to just go and sit in the van and just sit and do these things. Like, one of them is, to give you an example of how stupid it is, one of them is you put the tip of your tongue at the top of your mouth and you go, so I can't do that in front of people because it's stupid. So I have to do it in a very enclosed area, so I don't look like a total freak.
Well, I'm a singer myself, so I know how it is, and I can do the warm ups in front of any people. So I totally understand you. um, who are your influences? Do you have any?
Oh, everything's an influence, you know, and everything should be an influence on music. You can't, you don't necessarily have to just have musical influences on music, you know. Your whole ethos, your whole way of thinking should be influenced by everything, you know, from art to films to, you know, well, art encompasses all these things. So we have been influenced by films a lot, you know. I would just say I've always loved things that take time to develop. I don't need, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I don't necessarily need things to be immediate. I like, so for me, a full album's important. It's not just a few songs. Again, that's fair enough for certain people, and for me, it's, for a lot of people, for example, Stanley Kubrick, 2001. It's a very difficult film. It's it's by no means an easy watch, you know. But that's far more substantial than, you know, I don't know, you know, a kind of throwaway comedy film. But that has its place, you know. But for me, I've always really loved things that maybe you can get your teeth into and that aren't immediate and that maybe take their time, and, you know, that's just what always influences me. Something that you actually have to interact with. It's not. I don't want music to be wallpaper. I don't want it to be background music, and I don't mind it if our music is solitary, because a lot of bands that I love, I don't need to share with others. It's purely for me.
Yeah, right.
And for a lot of people, especially at festivals, music is a communal experience, and that's fair enough, and it should be communal. But also, music can be very personal and very powerful, and that to me has always been important. So,
Do you have any funny stories to tell while you're on tour?
about what?
I don't know, if something happened at a festival, or like a crazy, from, I don't know, or I don't know, crazy fans running around, or you've seen some other crazy bands doing, I don't know, running naked, or I don't know.
Off the top of my head, I can't.
I know it's a difficult question.
It's the opposite. Like, what I find interesting about being in a band is what people don't know and don't realise. And don't get me wrong. This isn't a complaint. It's just that to get to this festival, we travelled 9 hours to get to the south of England, and then another 9 hours to get to Weinheim, and then 5 hours to get to here. And there is a skill. There's a skill involved in having the stamina to be in an enclosed area with 5 other guys and not kill each other. There's a very fine line between going mad and dealing with those long periods of utter boredom. And to be honest, it's a credit to the guys that I tour with. They're lovely people, and sometimes it's not the crazy stories that you remember, it's the hours and hours and hours of motorway driving and not killing each other. So yeah, I don't have any crazy wacky stories, but unfortunately life on the road isn't that most of the time. It's mostly but it's okay. Time to think, time to talk. That suits me.